here at UTMC once again with Dr. Kris Brickman. Injury. How do we know when we should come to see you in the emergency department?
Well, what you're kind of talking about, typically it's a male thing, Laura, I have to tell you. It's the weekend warriors who, particularly during football season, feel they are ready to play just like when they were in high school. And so we commonly will get pretty much ankle injuries, wrist injuries, things where they're falling, they put their arms out. And unfortunately, they're not as flexible as they were when they were in high school. So it's easier to break things when you're older, but most of them don't really require an emergency department to get evaluated. The times that you kind of need to be thinking about that is if you really can't put any weight on that extremity at all. In other words, I'm talking about the ankle sprains. I think that if they give it a little time, put a little ice on it, usually they'll find they can walk okay. If that's the case, rarely are those fractured and don't really need any immediate treatment.
So what are the signs that it's a break and not just a sprain or a bruise?
Well, the other side of that is, of course, when you talk about ankles, don't look at the deformity because, quite frankly, the sprains actually swell more than even if you broke them, because you get a lot of bleeding that occurs. And those are ligament injuries, but those will all heal themselves. It's when you literally cannot put any weight on that extremity is when I pretty much have people come and get an x-ray, pretty much need to do that right away. Because at that point, we need to keep them off of that ankle or they're potentially going to make that worse, and they need to be on crutches. Now, when you talk about other injuries, like your wrist or you fall on it, you can pretty much tell if you have a significant deformity, you should get that checked out right away. If it's not that swollen or not that deformed, give it some time. You can wait a few days. It's typically not a problem. Wait a couple days and then get it checked out then.
But start treating it with ice?
Absolutely. Any of these ankle injuries, these weekend warrior injuries that we're talking about, pretty much ice, elevate that extremity for the first 24 to 48 hours is the best way to go. And it's perfectly fine taking an over-the-counter anti-inflammatory like Advil or Aleve or Motrin. Those would be the ways that, we would take care of it pretty much out of the emergency department most of the time.
Thank you. So be careful if you're playing football or climbing ladders. That's our talk back from UTMC.